Hello and welcome back to the Building Your Life After Traumatic Brain Injury channel here on YouTube. I'm happy to see that you decided to stop by to watch this video presentation. Yesterday, I created an article that I would like to share with you in video format. To read the article, put my glasses on and bring up the article. I want to thank you for your time. Here's the article, Brain Injury and Overcoming Through a 12-Step Recovery Process. Experiencing a traumatic brain injury or an acquired brain injury can leave us feeling powerless. Powerless to change what is and what has occurred in our lives. In the event that we grew up in a home where there was alcoholism, substance abuse, or unresolved pain secrets, our lives became unmanageable. Combined together, living with the impact of a brain injury with the unmanageability of living with the effects of the merry-go-round of denial can leave us feeling baffled and confused. In the process, we may try to make sense of what makes little sense. Unable to make sense, we may find that hope slowly deteriorates. Some 33 years ago, I was introduced to something that that helped me to cope and find hope in my life. What I share below may help you to cope and find hope in your ongoing brain injury recovery process. Here's a quote that I like. If nothing changes, nothing changes. If we keep doing what you're doing, you're going to get what you're getting. You want to change, make some change. That's by Courtney C. Stevens. Again, the quote is, if nothing changes, nothing changes. If you keep doing what you're doing, you're going to keep getting what you're getting. You want to change, or you want change, make some. By Courtney C. Stevens. What I discovered. I am powerless over people, places, and things in my brain injury. In my experience, I've found that I determine how I choose to experience my life. I am not saying that I am able to control people, places, or events, because I am not. To think that I have power to change people, places, things, and my brain injury is foolishness. With my awareness, I've come to realize that having control or asserting control is merely an illusion of power. When I let go of the illusion of control, I am able to accept that I am powerless over people, places, things, and my brain injury. As I practice the power of acceptance, new doors are open to me. When I admit my powerlessness, I am able to admit my limitations. Through admitting my limitations, I discovered that I am not helpless. When I realized that I was not helpless in my process, I had a spiritual awakening. Because I am not helpless, I am able to take action steps. These action steps give me the ability to accept the things that I cannot change, accept the things that I cannot change, to be able to let go of them and change the things that I can. And here's the serenity prayer. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. And that's by Reinhold Niebuhr. I'm not on my own to cope and create hope. Through my process, I have grown to trust a power greater than myself. Consequently, I have made the decision to turn my will and my life over to the care of that higher power, who I choose to call God. In the process, I made the decision to become a proactive participant in my life. Subsequently, I've been empowered to change the things that I can. As a proactive participant in my life, the obvious becomes apparent. I need to change my attitudes and my perspectives that I placed on my experiences. I needed to be honest with myself. I needed to be accountable to myself. I needed to keep the focus on myself. I needed to take a fearless moral inventory of myself. Not to berate who I am, but to free the negative energy of my defects of character, getting rid of what no longer works. Through my process, I discovered that my character defects of character were in essence defense mechanisms that I used to protect myself over time. Through examining my motives and by being honest with myself, I began to realize that my defense mechanisms were no longer serving me or enhancing my relationships. In reality, I found that my defense mechanisms were hindering my ability to truly live my life. Through being honest with myself, I was slowly able to come out of hiding. My isolation was broken when I met with my sponsor and shared what I discovered about myself. Trusting the process. As I trusted the process and shared my story, I discovered that I was not terminally unique. As my sponsor listened without judgment, I began to trust again. In my trust, I became willing to have my defects of character removed. In the next action step, I humbly asked God, the God of my understanding, to remove my character defects, making amends to relieve me of guilt and shame. My next step involved making a list of persons that I had harmed throughout my lifetime. I placed myself on the list. Next, I became willing to make direct amends to such people wherever possible, except when to do so would injure them or other people. In my process, I shared such amends with my sponsor before I attempted to make amends to those individuals. In the next action step, I made the decision to continue to be honest with myself and in the process keep my side of the street clean by continuing to make direct amends, being of service beyond myself. Next, I made the decision to trust again by praying for the knowledge of God's will for me and the power to carry that out on a daily basis. In the final action step, as a result of completing the previous 11 action steps, I had and continue to have spiritual awakenings. Consequently, I am motivated to share my experience, strength, and hope as I have the opportunity. My spiritual awakening or awakenings also inspire me to practice the principles of the 12 action steps in all my affairs. Synopsis of the 12 action steps. Below is a synopsis of the 12 steps adapted from 12 steps of a number of 12-step recovery programs. Number 1, you may be powerless over many things, but you are not helpless. Although your life may seem unmanageable now, you no longer have to feel like a victim. You do not have to be alone anymore to figure it out on your own. Number 3, by making the decision to turn your will and your life over to the care of a power greater than yourself, you will find an unlimited source of encouragement, motivation, empowerment, and hope. Number 4, you can find out what you have been doing to sabotage your life. You can look for patterns that have undermined your life. Consequently, you will be able to stop shooting yourself in the foot. Number 5, you no longer need to hide in the shadows. You can begin to trust by admitting to a loving God, yourself, and to another human being what you found out in step 4 that has been sabotaging your life. You can find a new freedom, a freedom that you never knew existed. Through the process, you can make peace with God and with yourself. Number 6, you can become entirely ready to let go of the behaviors that you have been using to defend and in the process sabotage your relationships and yourself. Be encouraged, my friend. Step number 7, you can be actively involved in the process of seeing the behaviors that have sabotaged your life removed by humbly asking a loving God to remove the behaviors that sabotage your life and your relationships. Step number 8, in working in partnership with a loving God, you can make a list of persons, including yourself, who you have harmed by participating in behaviors that have sabotaged your life and your relationships. By making a list of the people you have negatively impacted or harmed that you have gleaned through completing your fourth action step, you become willing to make direct amends to them all. Step number 9, you make direct amends. Once you have completed the first 8 steps and you have talked with your sponsor to the people you have negatively impacted by the behaviors that you previously used to cope. Consequently, you can make peace with your fellows and in the process make peace with yourself. By completing this step, making amends, you can be released from the burden of guilt and shame. You can find a new freedom and happiness. Step number 10. On a daily basis, you can continue to take personal inventory, and when you recognize that you have harmed others, you can promptly admit those wrongs to the person or persons that you have harmed. On a daily basis, you continue to be accountable to and for your behavior. You choose to keep your side of the street clean. And step number 11, you do not have to live life each day by yourself. You can rely on a power greater than yourself to guide and direct your steps. You don't have to lean on your own understanding. You can pray for the knowledge of God's will for you and the power to carry that out. You can trust the process of loving God and your ability to learn from your circumstances and experiences. In the process, you will be empowered to live your life that you never imagined you would be able to. And step number 12, having had a spiritual awakening as a result of these steps, you attempt to carry the message of the 12 steps to other people and continue to practice the principles of the 12 steps in all your affairs. Empowering, not punitive. Note, the 12 action steps are not meant to be punitive in nature. Instead, the 12 action steps are designed to empower you and me to live life on life's terms while succeeding. The 12 action steps, by divine design, are meant to free the individual from self-defeating behaviors that sabotage and undermine their lives and their relationships. The 12 action steps, by divine design, empower the individual to be of maximum service to God and to their fellows. No, in the original text, the 12 steps, we has been used where I have written you. I have used you instead of we to emphasize that you are powerless over people, places, and things. I've needed to keep the focus on myself as I have worked through the 12 action steps. Nevertheless, by participating in the 12-step recovery program, you never have to be alone. As I have heard, 12-step recovery programs are a we program. Losing serenity. In my experience, I have found that when I choose to take the focus off of myself and place the focus on another person, place, event, institution, or thing, I miss the benefit that can be gained through working the 12 action steps with a sponsor. I've found that when I am drawn to take the focus off myself and place the focus on someone or something else, that I need to work the 12 action steps. I've found that my triggers and reactions are my triggers and reactions, and therefore I can't make other people responsible for them and have a healthy relationship with them and with myself, and not about beating up on myself. In my experience, I have come to realize that the 12 action steps are not meant to point out where I'm not measuring up. Instead, the 12 action steps are meant to set me free from limiting behaviors and limiting beliefs that sabotage and undermine all of my relationships with the God of my understanding, other people, and myself. The 12 action steps empower my ability to be of maximum service to a loving God and to my fellows. This is the end of the article. Before I go, let me encourage you with this. Please do not give up on yourself, your process, or a loving God, because more will be revealed to you and to me with time. The pieces of the puzzle will come together in the correct order and at the right time. I'll say so long for now. Have a great day, and God bless both you and your family. Thank you.